What's up, everybody? It's Fearon here, and we are back at it again today with another Siege video. First Siege of the year. We are in a new guild. We have joined Apocalypse, which is a tourney level guild. Excited to play with these folks here. We are hitting into some lower ranked guilds today and hitting this older defense of Odin, Tessa, Riley. One of the old counters to this was Leica or Garo plus a booster and a Covenant. You snipe the Tessa, and then Leica can solo from here. Big thing to make sure is just that you run destroy so that you can kill the Riley at the end. And this is pretty clean from here on out. Next, we're going to hit into one of these LD defense, which is a Clara, Veronica, Theo. We're just going to Julie this. There is some risk here in that Theo can proc a bunch, or if Clara is on Will, it might get a little sketchy. But usually in these, this defense doesn't really do too much, I feel, and so they're really banking on you like failing a cleave or trying to like Tiana and getting Swift trapped. So we saw the Clara was off will there. I think it might have been Swift, but you have a huge amount of speed advantage here to just go first and clean up here. So we'll get that one. Next, we're going to hit this Carcano Fuki Escher. I went into this with this Kamoon Rakuni Windy comp, and like right as I hit enter, I remembered that this was the counter that we used for the Clara version of this. So when we have Clara, Fuki, and another unit, uh, and right away I realized my mistake because with Clara, you can focus all of the defense breaks into the Windy and fully funnel the defense. Um, but with Carcano, Escher can really easily, like you saw at the beginning here, just hit not Windy. But there's nothing pulling him into Windy per se. And then as soon as a unit is below full HP, Carcano is going to be defense buffing or defense breaking them instead. So I'm pretty much just clenching here, hoping to not get a proc or two. The Rakuni is super fast here. We have speed lead, speed buff, and it's built on the high speed tick. So we're getting a lot of cleanses here, but yeah, we just want to make sure that when nothing gets popped right away. We did have minus fire in all these units since Carcano is the main thing. So there's a good chance we can tank one or two hits from the Carcano. We ended up killing the Fuki first here just because it was pretty squishy. Ideally, the Carcano is the main threat, so you want to kill that as soon as possible. And we're actually not out of the woods here yet. I still feel like I could lose 2v3, I think, like if the Carcano just uh, hit into the Rakuni with a proc, it might make this really sketchy. But we get tons of our own procs. I don't think this Carcano procced at all, or if it did, it was not quite enough. Or maybe here, yeah. So you can see just the one proc with the defense break was almost enough to kill the Rakuni from full. But from here on out, it'll be easy to clean up, and I won't be using this counter again into this defense. Much better against the Clara version. And there we go. We were able to finish off the Escher and clean up that one. Next, we're going to go back into the same defense. This time, we're just taking a Tractor Windy Lulu. Fuki is a little scary to TWL just because he has a pretty consistent defense break and he just does a lot of damage from his passive. So he can actually chop through the Tractor pretty decently, even without the defense breaks. But we ran Vampire Tractor here for a little bit more sustain. And we moved like a really nice set onto the Lulu. I reswapped a good support set for her just recently, and we're gonna go into this. I think I probably would have thought a little bit more about hitting this with something else. This is probably fine, but I think I'm missing something better that I've forgotten about with this defense. And Siege is actually moving very quickly at this point, so we're just trying to get some hits in with what we have ruined and things we think are pretty decent. And again, we're going for the Carcano first here and just trying to get some slow debuffs up on the Escher to stop the healing. We notice there's a revenge there from the Carcano, which can be pretty scary if you're hitting into it, but we're able to finish it off, and then from here on out, it should be pretty easy for us to clean up and finish off this defense. We're going to hit into this Odin, Tessa, Riley again here. Basically the same team that we did the first time, except we have a Garo instead of the Leica and a Konamiya instead of the Tion. The Konamiya versus the Tion doesn't really make a big difference. It's just that we don't have the revive. We have the cleanse instead. Garo has a little bit less proc resistance than Leica, but we actually have can we get lucky? We finish off the Odin pretty quickly there, and so we get to finish off this Riley with the attack buff and resurge from the Konamiya, which makes this go way faster than the other one, which is really nice. And we get that clean up pretty quickly. Next, we're going to hit into a Harmonia Vigor Skogul. I ran into this with double ignore, just again going in with some cleave comps that I have ruined. And I think ideally, if you're going to double snipe this, you would kill Vigor and Skogul because Harmonia 3v1 isn't going to do anything. But I was actually really worried that I was going to get damage checked on this Kali. So we ended up going for plus fire and going to snipe this Harmonia here. And you can see 55k. I think if that wasn't minus wind and this minus fire, and if the Skogul was on minus fire, I think the Skogul is much more likely to be minus fire. We get lucky, we get the Praline Lapse, and then does the S2 to stun the Skogul, and I think it actually S1'd instead of S2'd. There's some risk of getting cleaned up by the Skogul 3v1, but yeah, I was really scared of getting damage checked there. We're going to hit into this offense, or this defense again, but this time it's a Kinky instead of a Vigor, and we're just using an MS Fran. Not super ideal here. We get a proc on the first turn, which allows us just to delete that Skogul. Yeah, we're just looking to lock down this team as much as we can. I think whenever you run this Martina Shina offenses, you just want to make sure that you have some accuracy and that your twins are pretty tanky. And just know that we're not really controlling the defense at all. So there's always some risk in this. We're going to leave the Kinky for the end, and hopefully we get back into our immunity because, again, the twins are not super tanky, and we're definitely going to be proccing that Kinky on every hit since we're multi-hits and not doing a ton of damage. I also just noticed that Kinky is hitting for like 1000s, which is basically nothing. The Harmonia is like hitting for way more than that. I think I'm contemplating going for a Hail Mary stun here with a strip, but we don't get it. I think I was running like 40 accuracy plus the Shayna passive here, so it's not 0, but it's also not max. And there we go, we killed off the Harmonia, and now we have just this Kinky left, and we have our immunity up and the attack buff for these first couple of hits, which makes it so that I'm not worried at all about getting 1v3 by this Kinky. We also have the attack break from the Fran, and there, just one more hit, and we're going to be able to finish this off for this win. All right, we're going to hit into this Theociclid Kraka. This is interesting. I think that there's a chance that a super fast Swift Cichlid has pretty even speed race to the Tiana. There's no will here. It could be Destroy, but it did look pretty fast. I wonder if they're running just this no speedly defense to try and catch cleavers like me. But we hit everything basically. We get the resets on the Theo, which allows our Tiana S2 to just clean up and fully clear that defense. And next, all we had left was this Odin Riley tested a hit, and so we decided we were gonna have some fun because I was out of real counters to hit it with. So we were doing this Han Dark Robo Dark Homunculus offense. This is not the most reliable thing. You can see here that because there's shield sets, we didn't actually get much strips here. But Han is going to get to do an S3 and get his full attack bar back. We're going to have our Homunculus reset our score cooldowns, and so we actually have the S3 up again. And we don't actually quite finish off the Tessa. That was pretty tanky. And we get lucky here that Odin goes into the Homunculus. I think if this went into one of the damage dealers, it might be a little scarier. But at this point, we got a good Despair stun somewhere on that Riley, and we should be able to cycle back into our spells. I think ideally, if we'd been able to strip the Odin, it would have been really cool because we get the cool time reset from the Dark Homunculus, which would make it so we only have to kill it once. But we didn't get that. The defense didn't proc super much, and we got the Odin hitting into the Homunculus, which was able to tank the one hit. So this ended up being, I don't want to say clean, but it worked and no one died. And it was really fun. That's we're playing a game, we're having fun. And for our last hit, because we brought out the Han in the last hit, I was trying to think of something to do with Laura, and so we're bringing in this Miang Laura Teor. The idea is just it's 2 units that have auto crits on their skill 2s, and so we're going to try and just kill this Odin twice. um, which Teor kills him once, fine, and then Miang kills it again. And then we have a 3v2 here where the Tessa is going to be fully funneled into the Laura. We have defense buff here, which lets her survive a proc. Maybe we could have survived one more, I'm not quite sure. But from this point, we're going to have the cleanse and the heal from the Miang, and the cycling from the speed buff on Laura, and be able to hopefully just kill this Tessa afterwards. Yeah, so we got some good CC here. We got a proc that allows us to have our S3 again, and we actually stun the Tessa, not really that it matters. And finishing off the Tessa, we're going to be able to easily clean up this Riley eventually. It just might take a few moments. I think I might have put a Destroy set somewhere on here, but it's not super needed. I think we just got to wait for that skill 2 on the Chimeras only being a 2-turn cooldown is really making it so that I should be able to get back into those skills and kill off this Riley sooner rather than later. And here we go, we have the skill 2 back up, finishes it off, and there's the 10-0. A fun ending to the siege. That's all for this one. Hope you all are having a good New Year so far, and I'll see you in the next one.